Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for Access City Council. I'm your host, City of Las Vegas Communications Director David Riggleman. Coming up on this show, a department offering a variety of programs, grants, and outreach. Plus, we'll introduce you to a new member of the Ward 1 team. Joining us with more on all this and other topics is our Ward 1 Councilman and Mayor Pro Tem, Brian Knudsen. Welcome back to the show. It's good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
It's I think we're kind of getting past the heat of the summer. Who knows? Don't
It's
know.
nice out there right now. This is manageable. Yeah,
Exactly.
I can do it.
We'll take it. We'll take it very much. But a lot to talk about on the show. I have a special guest we're going to introduce here in a moment. But for those of you out there not exactly sure where Ward 1 is located, well, don't worry. We're going to show you on the map, as always, right in the heart of the city. If you live in the area with the 1 on it there appropriately enough, then, of course, you are a city resident. And if you live in that ward, then you're represented on the city council by Brian Knudsen, as I said, who is our mayor pro tem. An interesting ward because you cover from basically the downtown all the way out into the northwest now. Kind of an interesting.
It looks like a reindeer. That's what I see in my mind. I see a reindeer of the city.
Exactly. I was kind of thinking the same thing. It's kind of elongated there, but yeah, reindeer. Well, that's what it is. We'll go with that. So, Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem up first is a city department offering a number of programs and resources for the community. And joining us with more on our neighborhood services department, its mission and what the department really does in general is the director of that department, Arcelia Barajas. Arcelia, thanks so much for being here. Great to have you on. And a lot to talk about. Your department, busy. Lots going on in your neck of the woods. Mayor Pro Tem, I know you rely on neighborhood services, all the departments, but really on neighborhood services for the variety of services that they offer, from homelessness to a variety of other things. So let's talk about that a little bit.
So the reason I asked Arcelia to be on is one, because I like having guests on. I don't like being by myself. But two is because they do so many things. The department is a variety of different topical areas that they focus in on. And I get lots of requests around traffic. I get lots of requests around parks, sometimes the police department. The requests that I don't get are for our most underserved population, but that's the population that I probably know the most about, that I probably spend the most time thinking about. And so it's a lot of times that I have to reach out to Arcelia and her team to think about how we can uplift people in our community, in our neighborhoods in particular, through the neighborhood service functions, but then those folks who are unhoused, the folks that are struggling to pay rent, the folks that can't pay utilities. I lean on Arcelia and her department to say, how can we do better by those folks that don't have the same access that we have?
Exactly.
And her department has been phenomenal to work with, and she's been in the control now for a year, close to?
October, I think.
Okay, so we're coming up on a year, and she's just done a fantastic job acclimating to that role of leader, and really proud to work with her.
Not new to the department. She was deputy director and now director. So, Arcee, tell everybody, give them some, if they're not familiar with what neighborhood services does, kind of outline it for us a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So we oversee mainly the human services departments or divisions for the city. So we have a couple of different divisions. Our homeless services oversees our homeless courtyard resource center and all of the programming related to programming and services for our unhoused individuals and residents. We have a Ticket to Home program. We have the Arrow Shuttle that transports homeless individuals to different areas of town where they can obtain services and things that they need, such as a driver's license, so that we can get them ready to move on into self-sufficiency. We have our master lease, or our what we're calling the integrated housing program, which is really a program that provides housing at different levels for individuals. So we try to meet them where they're at, to them, again, get them ready for self-sufficiency on their own. We also have our health and wellness section. So right now we oversee the construction of some health and wellness centers throughout the city, mainly in wards 1, 3, and 5. The goal is to bring in a federally qualified health centers that can provide a variety of services to people that have been historically disinvested or, disadvantaged through housing and also health and wellness. We also oversee some health and wellness outreach and engagement. We have a Mommy Mentors program that's one of our newest programs, and so that one's been real popular in the community, but it really is support for those moms that do not have those foundational resources that most others do to help them have safe and good outcomes through their pregnancies. We also have our neighborhood outreach and revitalization. So that's kind of our boots on the ground. So they're out in the community, knocking on doors, talking to residents, really trying to understand what are the needs of our residents so that we can help bring those resources out to them.
Wow.
And then lastly, we have our grants administration team. So they oversee probably about $11 million a year in our entitlement funding. And those are all resources that generally go out into the community from homelessness, youth, seniors, so different kind of programming. So they ensure it gets out into our nonprofits, and they oversee all the compliance and management of those programs. And then a small subset of that is our, I say small, but it really is a big program, is our housing assistance and our rehab, and so that's through our SHIFT program. And so this program kind of is comprised of a variety of different small programs. They support individuals with code violations that may not have the resources to address some of those issues in their homes. So it prevents them from continuing to receive violations and fines.
Yeah, that amount, right?
Yeah, that amount. And so they also oversee our housing rehab program. So again, for individuals, a lot of seniors, people with disabilities, were able to come into their home if they meet requirements and really bring their home up to standards so that they can live safely with dignity and that they're able to age in place. So those are kind of some of the different things that we do.
That is a full plate. RC, how many people work in your department? How many do you have all told?
Right around 60.
Yeah, so that's a lot of work for just 60 people to take care of.
You know what I think about everything she just said. When I was an employee 15 or so years ago, you were here, and I remember what neighborhood services was back then, and it's grown dramatically. And I think that just speaks to the evolution of what our city is and what it's going to be. And so I look at all the work that Arcelia and her team are doing as laying the groundwork for what quality of life will look like for the next 10, 15 years, but also the next couple 100,000 people that move into Las Vegas and call Las Vegas home.
Yeah, it's so many vital things. You talked about affordable housing, finding that, homelessness. Those are all issues that, from those who are the most in need in the community to those that are just trying to find a place to live right now, too, is very difficult. So even if they have a good job.
And building up the neighborhoods too, because Ward 1 is not HOAs, it's neighborhood associations. And so working with folks to understand what their responsibility is as a homeowner or home renter, and then bringing those people together to take pride in their neighborhood. Those are all really important components to what Las Vegas is.
RC, give us some examples of things that you guys have done in the past, some past projects that you're especially proud of, that you want to make sure that people are aware of, and that the city even offers in general.
Yeah, I think, so recently in Ward 1, we've had some beautification projects. So we've been partnering with our Public Works Department to do some full-scale cleanups in the community. So specifically for people that generally might not have the resources, we help elderly to kind of remove that large bulk waste, help do some cleaning of weeds in their front yard, again, to help alleviate any code violations. And so we've been bringing some neighborhood beautification cleanups. We've also have been pushing out our neighborhood college program. And so that program is really able to bring resources to residents in the community. So we come to them and we share all of the different programs and resources that we offer as a department. And a lot of times we are able to bring in some of our partner departments like fire or planning and zoning to come in and speak to some of the big items that individuals usually are not familiar with, right? So how do you submit a planning permit request, or you know, how do you change your meters and things like that. So
who do I contact? How do I go? What's required? All that.
So we do those generally in the libraries. Another program that we recently rolled out is our To Lending trailer, and so that one is a resource for neighborhood associations if they want to do a cleanup on their own, if they want to get together with their neighbors and partners.
They need the equipment,
Yeah, they can come and check it out. Our trailer is equipped with everything you need for a cleanup: rakes, trash bags, you know, scissors to cut trees, things like that. So anything that you need to beautify your neighborhood is available on our To Lending trailer, and so that's an available resource for neighborhood associations.
And Mayor Pro Tem, people are taking advantage of this. They're taking advantage of these programs throughout the ward.
Yeah, we work closely with neighborhood services, and the neighborhood cleanups are great. You can see the work with the unhoused. Anytime I call, there's always someone there to answer. This is what I think is important for people to understand, is they don't really talk about local government in school anymore. They talk about the federal government, they kind of talk about state government, but to understand what local government is, it's not politics, it's the work that Arcelia just talked about. It's a bunch of really well-intentioned, good, meaning, smart, talented people that are trying to improve quality of life. And that's what, for me, is so important about the city and every other city around the country, is you have really great government employees that are trying to improve quality of life. That's what we're here for.
Exactly. A lot of folks working really hard every day, doing important work as Arcelia's team does. We have a couple of minutes left before we have to say goodbye. Arcelia, talk about some programs that are coming up that we want to let people in the community know about.
Yeah, sure. So we have an upcoming cleanup at Fire Station 103. So that'll be a beautification effort where, again, we will bring together some of our partners, fire, to clean up the neighborhood, weeds. We'll also partner with Public Works and be painting fire hydrants. And so a full-scale cleanup will be coming up in the neighborhood around US 95, Alta Decatur area. We also have art contests, so recycled art contests coming up.
Tell us about that. That sounds pretty cool. What's going to be on?
This will be our second annual art contest, and so what we ask for is that you submit, or residents submit, projects that they've worked on, just with whatever they find recycled. And so we've generally gotten some pretty cool, interesting things.
People can be pretty creative. Yeah, exactly.
Creative. So we're really excited to see what we get this year, and we'll have a committee that'll do the scoring, and then we'll be able to showcase the winners in our City Hall lobby.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Marcy, we're about out of time. Is there anything else you want to add before we have to say goodbye?
No, I mean, I think we have, a lot of resources. We have a website that shows all of our different programs.
We sure do.
Please, check it out, because there's a lot of things out there that people aren't aware of that we offer, and we're always ready and willing to help.
Yeah, and MPT, I know you're very proud of the work that they do and really appreciative of it as well.
It's a city because of the work they do. Yep. So really, really grateful for you and your team. It's amazing.
All right. Marcy, thanks so much. Great having you on the program. We'll have you back again. I know how much you love doing it. Anyway, everyone, we need to take a short break right now, but coming up, you'll meet a new member of the Ward 1 team. It's right after this.
This is what too much sounds like. This is what stress feels like. And this is what help feels like. If you've lost a job, worry about your next meal, or have trouble making it through the day, we can help. Text STRESS to 211211 to find a solution.
You want a great rideshare experience? Don't ride with us. But if you drive after drinking or consuming cannabis, this is the ride you're going to get. Plan a ride, or we'll pick you up. Paid for by the Nevada Departments of Public Safety and Transportation.
Welcome back, everyone, to ACC City Council. Our next guest is a Las Vegas native who's giving back to his community through his work. We're pleased to welcome the Ward 1 intern, Orion A.J. Tadlock, to the show. AJ, thanks so much for being here. It's great to have you on board. And MPT, I know you're very proud of this young man because he's come in and helping you guys do some vital work in the ward office.
Well, I'll tell you how I met him, because I was incredibly impressed. My first reason is I don't particularly like being on TV, and so I always have somebody else that's maybe a little bit more nervous than me. It makes me feel more comfortable. So that's my secret strategy.
I got you.
But how I met AJ was I was speaking at a conference, and he came up to me afterwards and talked about his interest in children's mental health and understanding
something near and dear to you.
Understanding my role in that, and so the fact that he came up is unlike really anybody else. People are usually pretty kind of nervous around elected officials, and they're definitely nervous after you see someone on stage. But he came up and started talking to me. So that right there was a point of interest for me. So I invited him to come in and tell me about his interests. And it turns out we have very similar interests in improving access and quality of children's mental health care.
So AJ, you're an intern, you're a student right now at UNLV, and you're studying psychology, specifically in the areas that I think your interest it touches a lot of what the Mayor Pro Tem was just talking about, right?
Yes, that's true.
Talk about that a little bit. Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem, you've always said our community needs to improve a lot when it comes to mental health care, and I think that's one of the things that your psychology major, you're working on trying to see us change in that area, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's one thing to be in class and just see, like, as the professors teach, like, the textbook definition of things, and here's an example of a disorder or a syndrome or something. And then, but I think it's been just entirely another one, just through opportunities of, like, talking to Brian and just being out in the community, actually seeing it in person. And it not only helps just in classroom kind of reinforce my memory to see, like, oh, I've seen almost real life examples of this, but almost it just creates a further interest of, like, the stuff I'm learning in class actually is real. You know, it's really out there, and it's important to know these things in order to be able to help and give back.
Yeah, and I think, as we've said, we've talked about this on this show in the past. This is an area in our community that we really need to up our game. There are not a lot of resources for those who, especially for young people who are struggling with mental health issues. Not a lot of resources in our community for families to fall back on.
You know, David, one of the things that I think is important being in this spot that I'm in right now is we have the city to run, and Arcelia is a great example of the work that the city does, and I have responsibilities there. I also take it to heart that I have a bully pulpit. And so when I call a meeting, it's good that lots of people will come to that meeting. And so what we talk about with AJ is how do you establish public policy? How do you actually work through the county, the state, which are primarily responsible for those systems, to encourage them to be better, to do more for children. And so this role with the City of Las Vegas allows me to do that, and AJ is going to help put together a coalition of mental health experts that are going to advocate to the state on some mental health changes. We're also now working with several legislators and groups in Oregon to bring legislators back to Oregon and talk through how other states do it a little bit better than we do, and how we can take best practices and bring them back into Nevada. And so having AJ part of the team is really that push for me, is how do we teach the next generation what public policy is? How do you actually move a law into legislature? And I've had several years of experience doing that. This position allows me to do it in a different way, and I'm grateful to the constituents, grateful to the City of Las Vegas that allows me to bring on AJ and focus in on things that I think as a community we all need to focus in on.
Good. That's a perfect segue. AJ, tell us some of your duties in the Ward 1 office. Well, you're going to school, but you're also working here part-time. Tell us about some of your duties that the councilman has you working on.
Yeah, so I basically just help out with, for just instance, like small proclamation stuff, but if there's like meetings to attend, or as Brian mentioned, the trip up to Oregon, setting up like scheduling and agendas for that, talking out and reaching out to other people about like if they have anything that could be of help, or just kind of learning more about it. And that's one thing I really appreciate about Ryan and the position he gives me, is that he's always like, go out and learn, like do what you got to do to learn. And it doesn't really feel like a job almost, because it's like I know I'm supposed to do it to help him for his policies, but at the same time it's just my natural curiosity to continue to learn and gain more knowledge, especially in this field. So it's almost like just following an interest, it feels like at times. Which is really enjoyable.
Fits really nice. What year in school are you?
I'm a senior this semester.
At UNLV. So graduating in the spring?
Spring, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, coming up. That'll be here before you know.
Yeah.
So
I can tell you one of the more impactful things that he probably doesn't even realize, but I briefed Senator Cortez Masto 3 weeks ago now, on priorities around the 988 mental health system.
Right.
She's the one who sponsored legislation around 988. And so having AJ there provides a different perspective. And as someone sitting in that role, having students come and say what they want for the future makes a huge difference. It makes the conversation that much more meaningful. So AJ was right there next to me briefing Senator Cortez Masto on the rollout of 988, which is fully well underway. The state is about to contract with a 988 operator. The county purchased a building. We have an actual system that'll be starting up in January of next year. And AJ also talked about what it's like to be a student going through learning about mental health, knowing that the future is a lot of bills to pay if you're going to go become a master's student or a doctoral student, and how we get more people into the mental health field, and what her role as a senator could be to get more people into the field.
And AJ, that's one of your plans, is to go on to grad school, get the master's, work on a PhD in that field, which should be very timely, because obviously it's a need that we have in the community. I wanted to ask you real quickly, as far as are the programs at UNLV trying to encourage more students to go into the areas that the councilman is referring to, since we have that kind of lack of service in the community?
I would say that I haven't had a lot of professors tell me to, or at least seem to try to push me in any direct direction. They've all been pretty nice about like wherever you want to go. Like we have such a short time as it is. I'm here to teach you what I can teach you and get you through. But there have been some that I've noticed that tend to be like, oh, you know, if you want to make a more comfortable living, I guess, than others, like this is the direction you should go, such as like a private clinic, opening up your own spot. And before I came here, I never even knew there was such a need for just in the, I guess, local government, and to have more practitioners, clinicians, things like that. And so that's one of the other things that's been really nice, is to learn to see that side, because that's not something I do see in school. So I do really appreciate that.
Yeah. So the perspective is very healthy for me to understand. So as a community-wide system, our mental health practitioners, specifically for children and adults, have moved away from taking Medicaid or insurance. They've gone to cash pay. And so this is the public policy advocacy that I would take, knowing the role that I have, is how do we get more mental health professionals to take insurance, to take Medicaid in particular, so more people have access to it.
Absolutely.
And then the policy agenda that we're working on, and AJ's helping me, is to develop an undergraduate program at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, specifically focused in on children's mental health. That doesn't exist really anywhere else in the country. And so developing undergraduate licensed professionals who can identify children's behaviors and work with their families on mitigating negative effects of bad behaviors when they're children will help in the long term. And so these are very specific public policy agendas that we're working on, and AJ's kind of leading the charge with me on it.
That's great. That's really good. Mayor Pro Tem, AJ, you guys talked about the 988 program coming up. For those out there that are watching, it occurred to me some people may not even know what we're referring to. Let's talk about that a little bit. What is the 988 system?
So 2 years ago, I was on the show, we talked about myself and several county commissioners and the sheriff came together to advocate to the state to implement 988, which is a mental health resource line. So if you're experiencing a mental health emergency, if you see someone experiencing a mental health emergency, if you're at a Starbucks and you see that person that just it doesn't look right, it is throwing rocks at a window or is aggressively talking too loudly, there's something going on. You may not want to call 911. Sometimes police or fire will exacerbate the situation. 988 is probably going to be a more reasonable call. Those 988 operators will be in effect in about 6 months from now. They'll be able to take your call, they'll be able to work through an issue over the phone or via telehealth. And if that's not enough, they'll be able to dispatch someone to come and pick somebody up and then go to a center for a 23-hour stay where they can get a hot shower, a meal, connected to services and medications. And that service will be at a building provided by the county, operated by UMC. So we are seeing the basic stages of a system, which we did not have before. We relied solely on police and fire picking somebody up and taking him to an emergency room to sit for 2 to 3 days, taking him to a jail to sit for 12 hours, just to be discharged again with their lives completely disrupted. So we have the beginnings of a system, which I'm really proud of, that it's the combination of city, county, state, metropolitan police department, and everybody on the outside saying, we're ready for a system here.
All right, very good. And AJ, you're on the ground level of all of this with your major, and what you're studying in school is going to just fit in perfectly with what we're trying to accomplish as a community. So, AJ, great to have you on the program. Thank you so much. Best of luck to you in school and in the Ward 1 office. When folks contact the office, AJ will be one of the people you might talk to. So I'd like to bring people on, put names with faces, and let's everybody know, hey, we're real people down here doing real work. So,
real people.
Exactly. AJ, thanks so much. I appreciate you being on the program again. Good luck to you. And Mayor Pro Tem, stick around. We need to take another quick break, but coming up, some special events that you don't want to miss right after this.
There's a place to share gossip about the office party fun, and a place to share the story you tell everyone. There's a place to share a laugh about when things went wrong, and a place to share the video of you dancing to your song. There's a place to share spare change, lunch, and your time. But we could all be better at sharing how we're feeling inside. 76% of employees have struggled with at least one issue that affected their mental health. When you share, you're not alone.
We need a claim number?
When I started taking care of Mom, I didn't realize the challenge of playing so many roles. But above all, I'm still her daughter.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving. We're here to help.
Welcome back, everyone. We're going to tell you about some exciting events coming up in Ward 1. Councilman, this is good stuff. It's an annual event. It's become a tradition, 17th annual Senior Idol coming up on Thursday, October 3rd. If you're a senior and you got some talent, show it.
Are you emceeing it?
I'm emceeing it.
So you're reason enough to go.
Oh, there you go.
I don't even think they've invited me yet, but I'm going to show up. I'll go.
I'll give you a big shout out if you come. So everybody, this is going to be October 3rd at the Charleston Heights Arts Center. That's 800 South Brush Street. They're in Ward 1 from 3 to 5. And again, we're looking for seniors here. If you're interested in being a contestant, then reach out to us and sign up, because we'll showcase you. You know, you might win the big prize.
There's a lot of senior complexes around there. So I am with the seniors quite a bit, and the Housing Authority does another similar event. And so I usually show up, and all the seniors all know me, and it's a fun time.
Well, you've done a lot to cultivate that relationship, because you're out there, you do all kinds of activities with them, and they know you because you participate with them.
If I fail at being a councilman, I'm a bingo caller. That's the next calling for me, I'm really good at bingo calling.
And Councilman Arcelia, when she was on the show, she mentioned this. We have a fire hydrant painting event. Now, this is interesting. It's a collaboration with Fire Station 103. Now, this is going to be on Saturday, October 5th from 9 to noon. If you're not exactly sure where Fire Station 3 is, it's 190 Upland Boulevard. And tell everybody about the project. Would you go out there and just beautify the neighborhood a little bit? Is that the idea?
We've done this a lot with neighborhood services. We do this as a ward. So yeah, it's about picking up weeds. It's about painting the red curves, painting the fire hydrants. For me, I always try to get the neighbors to come out and engage, because that's what protects the neighborhood most of all, is if you know your neighbors.
Exactly.
And that's the very best thing you can do. One tip from experience is, do not get that paint on you. It's never coming off.
It is seriously good paint.
It is.
Yeah.
It is good paint. If you get it on your shoe, the shoes are gone. I got it on a car before, and it's not coming off. Like, it will never come off. So, if you are not good with paint, like, let somebody else do that part.
Yeah, or wear the oldest pair of shoes and clothes that you have.
And if you get it on your skin and you're going to a gala that night, it's not going to be good.
Wear the gloves.
You have to really scrub it. It's hard.
Yeah, it's because we want those fire hydrants to stay looking good.
It's real paint. None of that water-based stuff my kids use. No.
So again, we love when the volunteers come out. You have a lot of events where the volunteers come out and really help. We've got great city staff. They cover a lot of different things. But when you get all that extra elbow grease out there from everyone throwing in their help, it makes a big difference.
And it's that ownership feeling. Like, if people own something, they're not going to destroy it later on. They're not going to litter. They're not going to cause bad things to happen. They own it. They're part of it, just like we are.
Exactly right. And as you said, they get to know their neighbors, and it build that community, that camaraderie and pride in the neighborhood itself. So, well, Mayor Pro Tem, we're about out of time here, so we want to tell everybody out there, hey, we always want to hear from you. So if there's something you'd like to share with our Mayor Pro Tem, Brian Knudsen, you can call him at 702-229-6405 or send him an email. His address is bknudsen@lasvegasnevada.gov. And you can also visit the Ward 1 website or subscribe to the Mayor Pro Tem's newsletter by using that QR code right there. So, well, great job. It's a pleasure having you on the show. We'll do it again in 6 more weeks. And boy, there'll be a lot going on.
A lot going on. It's that time of year.
It is. The fall is one of the busiest times for events and everything else going on, because we can get out and actually not burn up. So it's a good thing. Looking forward to having you back. Great job today. And folks, don't miss our next show beginning on September 19th with Councilwoman Olivia Diaz. You can now catch all of our KCLV shows on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. Also, watch for our QR code that I mentioned after this show to subscribe to our newsletter. And don't forget, you can watch us live on the internet at kclv.tv. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time around.